All right, guys, day 4 is the biggest day of our 5-day challenge because I am including 2 strategies in one, or 2 components to our sensational at-home learning on one day. And so I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet and under 7 minutes for this overview. So let's get going. The first thing that we're going to talk about is consistency. And I've talked about previously how predictability and consistency are the 2 things that we most need as human beings to navigate our times in life and our days to feel like we are emotionally safe to take risks and take on the challenges that our life provides for us and the growth that's needed. And I think you would agree with me that the learning right now at home is definitely a challenge in itself. And they are actually, or I say we, not they, we are actually challenged to do things in a new way. And so therefore, having consistency is an important ingredient to the success of your sensational learning at home. And so what I mean by this is to create the foundational thing for this consistency thing is to have a routine. And this is very similar to having a schedule, but a routine is to help prepare you for that schedule. And so what I mean by this is a baseline routine is something that you can enforce. It is incredibly easy to get caught up in making a million things on your routine list. And I'm not exaggerating here. So it's easy to be like, put on your shoes, put on your socks, then put on your shoes, and then do this. So the more simple you can make this routine list, the easier it is for you to enforce, not reinforce, but enforce. And you can also reinforce it. This is part of also the encouragement and feedback. So with this baseline routine, I have created a simple, and this sounds very schedule-ish, but it's a checklist that before the schedule happens that you can make sure that you do. Like, okay, and I've kind of talked about this before. Like, have you brushed your teeth before your class? Have you changed your clothes? What are things that you can totally, absolutely ensure that are most important to do before doing other things? And so having a routine, I think we all have somewhat of a structure in our own lives that help us be able to develop that routine, but being consistent with that routine is incredibly important to then gain the predictability of the schedule and what's coming next. And so the universal strategy is just to create that baseline routine. And the best key ingredient to that is making sure that you can put it with limited transitions. And so if you can couple them with your schedule, then the more bang for your buck. Again, you can be able to not have to be like giving all these checklist things and then having to give more checklist things to other things. So what I mean by that is also say that you have lunchtime, right? Such as now. Lunchtime, you can be like, okay, before I make your lunch, make sure that you have done this, this, and this. And so it can be a before and an after thing as well. So the more you can lean into those baseline routines as being part of your schedule, the less energy it's going to take for you to enforce them. So that's the key ingredient to that universal design for your consistency. And an incredibly big scientific thing, and I could go into the details of the science, but something that's incredibly important for our children is to feel like they belong in the household. And you could tell them that you love them 500 million times a day, which, isn't a bad thing either. But if they don't feel like they have the purpose behind what they're doing in their day, then they don't feel like they belong. And so one of the ways that you can add in that special sparkle to your keeping that consistency is to embed some chores. And it doesn't have to be like big chores, but little chores, taking care of yourself and being responsible, knowing that this is a shared work environment, that they have to contribute to the success as well with their chores and their things that they do around the house is super important. So that's my little sparkle of success for that, using a little bit of science. So a +1 to this is if you really feel like you want to dedicate the time to start your day strong and have strong starts to your day, is to have a morning meeting. And I'm not talking about, it doesn't have to be so formal that you feel like you're doing something else. But you could just literally sit down with your kiddo before they start their Zoom and be like, you know what? What's a goal that you have for today? Oh, that's a shared goal that I also have. So you could check in with each other. It's kind of like a morning check-in. Set goals together. Create a checklist if that's what the day brings for you. Set daily goals. Write them down so you can keep yourself positively accountable. I think the conversations that come from those morning check-ins and those morning meetings set the day up for success. I have found that those are the best days that I have as a mom, as a teacher of my daughter, and as well as just our relationship together. So I highly suggest this plus one. Maybe not every day, but on the days that you kind of feel the most weathered and feel a little worried, those are the best days to do that. So a plus more to this too is to create a visual and interactive schedule board, and more of a schedule, I say schedule board, but more of a routine board. So if you need to have that, if you're doing that gradual release of responsibility, create a little board that your kiddo can either check off that they've done it or like put a little smiley face or whatever. That's so helpful because that gives them the independence and the accountability to what they're supposed to be doing as well. So that is how I think consistency is uber important in setting up your success for your at-home learning environment. Now let's quickly go into accountability. And accountability, quite frankly, is one of the most important components to this, and also there needs to be the most depth. So I want to have like a to be continued conversation on this, because I think that having accountability is what we are struggling with most as parents, because we don't want to feel like we're the drill sergeant, but we also don't want to feel like we're the lawnmower. And so there's really that complexity of what our role is within having that accountability to what they're supposed to be doing. But I have to reinforce that having the checklist and having the schedule is going to help make it easier for you to keep them accountable. Now, this is also something that you can have some extending your support beyond your home. There is power in having another sense of authority. And maybe you've already seen this. When you call Nana and say, hey, can you ask her how to do the double-digit multiplication or something, which is not a second grade thing. That's just a quick example. All of a sudden your kid's like, oh yeah, you do this. And it took you like 2 hours to try to get your kiddo to do that. But there is absolute power in having another sense of authority, which leads me to our universal kind of strategy here. So universal strategy for having accountability is you can blend that self-management. Okay, I kind of went into the plus one on that example. I apologize. Let's go back to my universal. The universal suggestion for accountability is to blend that self-manager and supervisor role by having that, okay, let's talk about what the outcome of your learning should be before you begin your learning task. And this is also something that should be also helped with from teacher collaboration. And if you're uncertain, you can ask your child's teacher, because they should say, oh, we're working on this and this is what we're trying to do. And so there's definitely ways that can help your language of support be able to support your child, be able to reflect on how they're doing. So that could be like a 1 to 4 scale for that. Again, I feel like I'm being really short and sweet and surface level to this. So again, let this be a to be continued conversation, and I want there to be more for this. So with accountability, there can also be a plus one to this. Oh, actually, let me go back to the universal. We gotta be aware of the potential learned helplessness behaviors. And I'm gonna include a separate video for this, for learned helplessness behaviors, that came from my class that I designed, that I put together to help coach you. What in the heck is learned helplessness? And am I creating it unintentionally? So that's a big question. So I want to be able to answer that question with you to help support you. So let's go to the quick term of using rubrics for success criteria with the clear learning and behavior outcomes. So this means this. So say again, you're going back to that double-digit multiplication, and your child is having a tough time with this. And so the success criteria that you could say is the learning outcome is that your child will successfully be able to do double-digit multiplication problems. But say that they're still struggling on their 6s and 7s. And so you can scale back that outcome. So you could say, before we're able to do our double-digit multiplication problems, let's focus in on our 6 and our 7s multiplication facts. So right now, our learning objective to be able to meet our big learning outcome is we're going to focus on this skill development so we can be more successful with this. And what's really important for us as a learning coach as well is knowing where those lagging skills are. And I think you can identify those lagging skills when you are involved in your child's work. And so where you see the patterns of misunderstandings. And I have to just shout loudly and clearly and say, guess what? I'm not shouting, I don't yell. But I just want to say to you, your child is able to get such good one on one attention having you as being their learning coach right now and their support. Because I will confidently say that it's very challenging as a teacher to give those 28 students 100% of the time the attention that they need, especially when they are having a tough time with complex problems. We wholeheartedly want to, but oftentimes we're not able to because of the demands and the complexity of being a teacher in a classroom. Now, by no means does that mean it won't be revisited later and hopefully by groups being able to solve those problems. But guess what? You have that gift to be able to respond and have that accountability for them to having the outcomes you're seeking. So again, when you're involved with their academics, you will be able to understand what they need before they can reach a learning outcome that they have from their assignments. So I truly think that something that's really important as a teacher is to provide rubrics on the most important things. And a rubric is a scale of understanding. And maybe your teachers have provided like a 1 to 4 scale, like I need a lot of help with this, to I can teach someone this. And if not, I might put an example. Actually, I will put an example of a 4 scale, just self-manager check, like a self-check where your child can say, whoa, I needed help with this. Or I need some more support with this, because I truly believe this is the time that we can give them those supports for those lagging skills. So with that, I want to go to my plus more. That was kind of a speech and a presentation on that a little bit, but you can choose to do a phone a friend as well. To kind of develop that accountability buddy system that I set up with my own friends about our daily intentions and our gratitudes. But you can definitely have that as a plus more strategy of where that you can set up a partnership between friends that they can say, hey, can you help me with this problem? I'm having a tough time with it. I know the older the students, the easier this is to coordinate, yet you'd be surprised. Kids can also have those conversations and not be competitive at a younger age as well. So that is my 12-minute little go over. I was trying to keep it under 7 minutes, but nonetheless, it went a little longer. So if you stayed with me, thank you for listening. If you did not, we'll definitely catch you in a different day in a different way. So thank you for your time on your day 4 of day 5, or our 5-day challenge. I will see you tomorrow, and I look forward to sharing with you some strategies on how we can be encouraging and provide meaningful feedback to our kids' learning. So thank you. Have a wonderful day.